Hub motors are amazing, but they have their flaws. In this video, I'm going to only talk about the things that you should expect when you own a hub motor. This is my third or fourth bike with a hub motor, and they are amazing for the features that they have. Hell, I built one 10 years ago and I still have it. But compared to a mid-drive, hub motors have major weaknesses, and I'm going to discuss those in this video. The first problem with the hub motor is that they are placed in the wheel, and all the vibrations from the tire get transmitted into the motor directly. When you're mid-drive, the front suspension, the rear suspension takes a little bit of the heat out of it. So what all those vibrations do is they create friction in between these little wires that you have inside the motor. Once they heat up, these wires are insulated. If the insulation breaks off from it, they short out. If they short out, you're done. And they could short out either if they get too hot, which is very normal because these motors are taking a lot of heat out. Also because sometimes they rub against each other. So as you can see in this motor, even though I took it apart, there's like parts of it that are still very, very loose. And these loose parts can make a short between one pull and the other, and you're done. You're gonna feel a drag on the motor. Another huge disadvantage is the fact that the core, this is the core over here, this is the core that gets hot, but the core is not in touch with the outside at all. You have air that insulates in between the magnets and the core, and then you have the outer shelling of the motor, which basically looks like this. So if you want to dissipate heat, it's almost impossible. So the heat accumulates inside and they get hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter until they literally blow up. In these days where you could easily get a 1,000-watt battery and a 35 amp controller, this is the third one I've burned, and I keep burning them, and I'm getting a little bit sick and tired of rebuilding them. I even looked for even better wiring with better insulation, but then it's a lot thicker, and then you could get a much less magnetic field over here, and then it gets a lot slower, the bicycle. So you damn if you do, you damn if you don't. And the third thing that really sucks about these is that they're very complex motors. So this is a Hall sensor board, which I completely removed, and I'm gonna literally throw in the garbage. Because if you have a controller that requires Hall sensors to work, what they do is they read the position of the motor at all the times. These are very, very fragile. They get heat up and then they blow up and then you're done. Your controller cannot see the motor and then you're done. Luckily, there are controllers that can handle the motor without these Hall sensors. They run a little bit rougher, but they're called sensorless controllers. They work pretty well. The problem is that not all bicycles have them. And that brings me to another point, very important point. Not only that these motors are really complex, but the sensors are built into this box which control the entire thing, and these are very, very complex also. So you could either have a failure in the hub itself, or you could have a failure in the controller itself, and that's the problem. The mid-drives, the one that basically installed over here with the motor, they're a lot dumber, but at the same time they are a lot more reliable. There is reliability in simplicity. So who should buy these hub motors? If you take your bike in a park, they work okay. If you don't take it off-road and there's like no vibrations, they work okay. They have throttle assist, they have good power response, they could have good power delivery. They are good motors. They're a little bit heavier, and they're not really for the heavy enthusiasts out there. I do have a bicycle that has a mid-drive motor and never had any issues with it in like 2,000 miles. This one, I burned a motor every 100 miles, and if I didn't burn the motor, I burned the controller. So I am very, very disappointed in hub motors, and to be very honest with you, I'm so over them. Now obviously, they're better quality built out there, motors, but I think the main problem that they have is vibration. They don't take the vibration very well, and also they don't take the heat very well. And because there's such a complex system, then they have a tendency to break. A 10-cent part, which is this controller over here, can cause a lot of problems, and they burn all the time. And you have to take the motor apart to replace them. It's really, really complicated. So yeah, I still have the bike, but I am already looking into spending $300 to a mid-drive, and hopefully I'm going to have much better success than this particular hub motors. Thanks for watching. I hope this video helped you out to decide which one to get.